Hi everyone, welcome to Raising Vibrations with myself, Simon. Today guys, this is the introduction video to a series that I'm just about to create on aspects and phases. So basically what I'm going to be doing with this video series is just covering some of the main aspects that exist within an astrology chart, and sharing my perspective on how to intuit them, and also to basically get a broader perspective of how to actually see it manifesting within your own life. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be doing with this video series. I'm not entirely sure how many aspects I'm going to be doing and phases and such, but we'll see as it goes along. Now, this is the introduction video. So what I want to be doing here is covering some of the basic information, so that when you actually are watching the actual videos itself on the phases or aspects, that I don't have to cover that. I can just basically have all of this done right now. Okay, so the first thing that I want to begin with in terms of how I look at aspects and aspects within an astrology chart is, in my opinion, it's the first layer that we analyze or look at when trying to understand the relationship between two planets. Now, that's exactly what an aspect is. An aspect is where you have two or more planets in a relationship to another. Okay, so we have like the conjunction, where two planets are in conjunct with each other, right, in alignment. Then you have, for instance, a square. Okay, so that's when one planet's over here and another planet's over here, and you've got this like square relationship that they have to each other. And then there's the types of squares that you have. You've got the 90-degree crisis in action square, and you've got the 170-degree crisis in consciousness square. And they manifest themselves completely differently in terms of the astrology chart, even though they are squares. So I'm going to be covering that as well. You've got the oppositions. Now, in an opposition, we have two types of oppositions. We have one in which there is the giver's phase opposition, and then the full phase opposition. And they manifest themselves completely differently as well. So there's a lot of differences about the aspects and phases that will be covered through this experience, okay? And I'll be covering some other aspects as well, like the 150-degree inconjunct, okay, the quincunx. And I feel that this is a really important aspect to cover in terms of the astrology chart, because it can be incredibly painful sometimes to experience those aspects. So in my opinion, the aspects are really important when trying to understand the symbolism in an astrology chart, okay? So it's the first layer. So I'll give an example of what I mean. So let's say, for instance, we have Mars and we have Venus, okay? And we're trying to understand the relationship that these two planets have towards each other in the astrology chart. So I've got Mars in Capricorn, and I have, let's say, Venus in Libra, okay? Right? Venus in Libra, Mars in Capricorn. Now, naturally, there's going to be a natural square between these two planets, right? Because Capricorn squares Libra. And so that's the first thing. We've got to look that Mars and Capricorn will be operating through the dynamic of trying to create necessary protection, right? And Venus in Libra will be associating themselves and trying to understand their value system through linking it with other people's value systems and trying to contrast it through that way. So what will be happening over here is that that's how they'll be operating. But for you individually, like for you specifically, that square will be operating more profoundly than looking at the layers of where the signs or where the planets are and which sign they are. Okay, do you understand what I mean by that, right? So it's the aspect to observe first, and that relationship that aspect has. So in this particular instance, it's a 270-degree square, okay? It's crisis in consciousness. Now, what's happening here very simply is that the soul is trying to, or the relationship of this aspect is trying to break free from all forms of identities. It's trying to liberate itself and trying to individuate its own perspective into its reality, which means that the Mars, okay, now in Capricorn, is trying to create protection. The Venus is trying to link itself to other people's value systems. This crisis in action square will probably be one where this person is trying to link, or is trying to find their own security relative to their beliefs, relative to their own value systems. And they're trying to integrate that into the world. Now, I can take, for instance, like Mars in Capricorn, I can put Venus on the other side. I can put Venus now in Aries. The square, for instance, in this particular case, will be manifesting one where the person is not sure how to actually link its value system to society, right? The 90-degree square actually operates in one called crisis in action, right? And it's trying to initiate itself by trying new different things. And so the element over here is more about creating security versus trying to individuate, trying to liberate, okay? So these two squares are operating so differently in the astrology chart. So that's what I'm going to be doing with this video series over here, is literally sharing with you the different types of dynamics that actually play out when understanding aspects in the chart. And also coming across and saying that the phase, or should I say the aspect that is being made, the line, has an incredibly powerful role in understanding that symbolism personally for you. That there is no same symbolism, okay? There is no like general consensus. It is completely and utterly individual for yourself. And we started always looking at the aspect first, understanding what type of aspect is first, and then internalizing the placement of the sign and what house it is and what sign it is in. So Mars versus Mars in relationship to Venus. We would look at the aspect that is happening between the first, and that's the first operating dynamic. And then we look at what signs they're in, what houses they're in, and then we look at what signs they're in. And that's how you can layer it to get it specific to you and to be as accurate as possible as well. So it's an incredibly powerful experience to understand aspects and phases when it comes to astrology. And so this is what I'm going to be trying to capture in this video series for you guys, okay? Great, so the first video I'm going to be creating is the one called Conjunctions, and I really hope that you enjoy that video, guys. Until then, take care, bye-bye.